Good morning. It is 6:28 a.m. on Thursday, September 7th, 2017. I'm Christiana Ellis, and I just got up. This is 5 more minutes. I have bug bites on my neck. They are not as obvious, perhaps, to you as they are to me, being very itchy. I hate everything. Not really, not everything. But I do hate having bug bites on my neck that are itchy. Especially just because it's like, I don't know, they're kind of very visible. I mean, ugh. What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? So, I started the video with that, and I have nowhere to go with it. Last night was a fun session of D&D on so many levels. Oh, also related. I don't know why I say related. Um, I started listening to a new audiobook, having finished Children of Dune, and so before moving on to God Emperor of Dune, I need to not make the mistake that I made in high school with the Dune books, which was trying to read them literally all in a row and just burning out my brain on that universe. So what I have started listening to is the fifth season by N.K. Jemisin, where it's the Broken Earth Book 1. And I'm not very far into it yet, but I'm already thinking, yes, like this. It apparently, it's telling the full nature of the narrative has not revealed itself yet, I don't think, but things that are happening already include a devastating and, to believe the narration, world-ending natural disaster are happening, but in an interesting way. It's kind of viewed from afar. Like we're not being treated to the devastation that has caused, at least not yet. It's more seen from a distance. But we're also telling the story of, something that in some ways is a standard fantasy trope these days, which is that we've got people who can use some kind of magic and them being ostracized from the normal people around them. But at the same time, I will say that the telling of it so far feels fresh. I like the depiction of the magic so far. The build to the first big demonstration of it so far was nicely drawn, and I'm digging it so far. Like I said, not very far in, but so far so good. I need to be better at making the audio podcast versions of my D&D shows. I realized today that I'd let like 3 of them go by without making the audio podcast version or even posting the YouTube version onto my website. Gotten a little bit lazy about that. At the same time that I say that, it's an interesting element wherein laziness is subjective, because I certainly know people that I'm close to that will comment on, like, oh, you do so much. It's like, well, I guess I do, but I don't do as much as I feel like I could be doing if I wasn't so lazy. It's all relative. It's also true that I don't have like kids or to take care of, and that this is like primarily what I spend my spare time on. But there it is. The But yeah, the getting the audio podcast versions out. I don't know. It does raise the question in my mind again of these D&D games and what is it that is my goal there? I mean, goal number 1 is that it's fun to play and to prepare for, and that can be enough all by itself. And if that's the case, then really the idea of producing the audio podcast version is not, strictly speaking, necessary for that goal at all. You know, it does not have to be a live stream that becomes a YouTube video that can be watched later that becomes an audio podcast. It could just be just those of us playing, just us playing it. But it's relatively little work to make it those other things as well. And yet, if I put a little more work into it, I know that I could improve the quality of them as shows. But it becomes this case of like, okay, well, how much do I want to put into it? Given that it being a show at all is kind of a secondary priority, what is that threshold? I don't know. It's something I have not fully established in my brain. But in any event, I've got to get to work earlier today, so I will talk to you guys tomorrow for 5 more minutes.